You love to hear it, don't you? That was the sound of the victorious Bears dressing room after Saturday's game, and can't think of a better way to start the show this week. So welcome to Bear Necessities, the official Coventry Bears podcast. We live at coventrybears.com. We're available wherever you get your podcasts, and it is excellent to welcome you to this week's show where we're talking about a Bears win. I'm one of your hosts, Dave Musson, and joining me as ever is my co-pilot and former Bears fullback, Craig Cathcart. Craig, enjoy the game on Saturday?
Yes, mate, I absolutely loved it. It's been a great sporting weekend for me. Obviously watched the Bears victory, and today I've just seen the Liverpool goalie stick it in the 94th minute. So pretty good weekend, I would say. Yeah.
My football team slightly let me down slightly on Sunday with the unfortunate defeat away to Crystal Palace, but we can't have it all. And we're not here to talk Premier League, so that's fine. We can just put that in the bin. In this week's show, we are going to be chewing over the Bears' excellent 36-10 win away at the West Wales Raiders, including hearing from the coaching team. And we'll look ahead to this weekend's home game against London Skolars. Now, that match, as you'll probably know, is going to be the first one where fans are able to watch the Bears live in the stadium since February last year. So to celebrate that and just to try and understand a bit more about exactly what that means to Bears fans, later in the show, we're going to be joined by a trio of Bears supporters who are champing at the bit to get back to the Butts Park Arena this weekend. But first, let's talk about Saturday's game against the West Wales Raiders, which saw the Bears record a 36-10 victory with an excellent performance, clinical and creative in attack, resolute and ruthless in defence. It was a terrific effort from everyone involved. And in case you weren't able to watch the stream, I'll just quickly whiz through the story of the game. So the Bears opened the scoring after just 3 minutes, capitalising on a Rangi Chase error on the first play of the game, and then just moving up the field, winning a repeat set, and finally seeing Peter Ryan crash over from close range. And they did it again 20 minutes later. Bears were moving the Raiders all over the pitch, orchestrated by a quite fantastic performance, a hooker from Chris Cullymore, who again played in Ryan for his second of the game. 5 minutes after that, the Raiders did score their first try in the corner, and they nearly had another a few minutes later, but for a superb try-saving tackle from Rhys Rance, which actually proved to be a pretty massive moment in the half because the Bears reset, they worked through their sets, and they ended up scoring again 5 minutes after that try-saving tackle. New winger AJ Towles, who this week joined on a season-long loan from York City Knights, he took a quite beautiful floated pass from Dan Coates to dive over in the corner and mark that debut with a try. And that wasn't it for the first half. Right on half-time, Cullymore slipped a pass to Liam Wellham, who had made the most wonderful angle to burst through the line before he sidestepped a defender and just sauntered in under the posts. The conversion made it 22-4 to the Bears at the break. So the Raiders came out firing for the second half, as we probably expected they would do, and they did score 5 minutes in. And then they went about basically dominating possession for the next 20 minutes, camped on the Bears line, but the Bears defended magnificently. They frequently held up the Raiders on their own line, and they just repelled countless attacks. And then in the final 10 minutes, the Bears really turned the screw and wrapped up the win. So Coates knocked over a penalty from in front of the sticks to keep the scoreboard ticking over. And then they really confirmed the win with an excellent try with 7 minutes to play. Wellham putting in a delicate chip on the final tackle, which player coach Dave Scott nudged on again with a grubber, and Nathan Hill gathered up gleefully and ran under the post for his third try of the season already. And we weren't quite done there. Kieran Sherratt added a final gloss right on the hooter, scooting in from dummy half, just like he did on the same ground back in 2018. And Coates converted to take the final score to 36-10 to the Bears, a first win of the season, an excellent follow-up to the potential shown in round one against Barrow, and an all-round great performance. So Craig and I are going to pick out some of our highlights from that game in a moment. But first, let's hear what Bears head coach Rich Squires thought of his first Betfred League One win in charge of the club. I spoke to him on Monday evening. Well, Rich, congratulations. Your first win as in Betfred League One as Bears head coach. You must be pleased with Saturday's performance.
Yeah, really impressed. And over the moon to finally get the first win on the board. It seems like a long time coming. But yeah, really happy to get the first one under the belt and get the monkey off the back.
It looked like you really sent your side out with a lot of intensity from kickoff. Was that the intention to really start in the faces of the Raiders?
Yeah, a little bit. We wanted to, obviously, we didn't have the best start the week before. So we knew if we changed that up, there wasn't much else. We kind of, we got in the game from after that first 20 minutes. So we kind of set the stall out from the off and said, look, just go and enjoy yourself. And, we took it to Barrow. So there's no reason why we can't back it up. And you've got, your job is to kind of back up that performance for the last 60 minutes. And everyone kind of bought into it. And the boys were really upset, not really upset, but annoyed with the way that we finished after the video review at Barrow. With the first 20 and the last 15. And we all recognised we could kind of get more out of it. And I think we put a little bit of pressure on ourselves with the West Wales game, saying it's a must win. But we didn't put too much pressure on ourselves. We knew if we kind of played our game, we'd get the job done. And we did do it in a very professional way.
Yeah, and I think the key word for me, particularly in the first half, was tempo. It was really good tempo, and I think it was picked up on the Our League stream as well, that Chris Cullymore really pulling the strings. I mean, he seemed pretty important to that performance. How pleased were you with his contribution?
Yeah, Chris was very good. And he's had two very good games now against Barrow and against West Wales, and obviously had to do 80 minutes at the weekend, which he was very comfortable in doing. He's very athletic and, keeps himself in good nick, obviously, with everything he does. But it was just very smart in how he played it. Especially the second half, he was key of us playing down their end of the field. Obviously the wind was in our faces and we're kicking, with everything behind us, it was going 15, 20 metres max. So he kind of really got behind the forwards and said, look, we've kind of got a set platform and I can play off the back here. So him getting the forwards to find in front and picking and going and, utilising the space behind the markers. And, we're a fitter team than I think most of the teams, and we fitted them what we expected. So when we did find our front foot, it allowed Chris to have a lot more time behind him, and get his head down. He did that really well, and he really did get us on the front foot and worked really hard at the weekend. So yeah, I was pleased.
And there was a big 5 minutes where in the first half where both of your wingers contributed massively. You had Reece Rance stopping a certain try at one end, and then AJ scoring on his debut at the other. Again, I mean, great contribution at both ends of the pitch from your two wingmen.
Yeah, Reece had a bit of he wasn't the best impressed with his performance against Barrow, obviously with the kick that he put down for a try and a little bit at the end. So he kind of wanted to bounce back, and I thought he did really well at the weekend. And the same with AJ, he finished his try really well and did the little things, but it wasn't really a back three game. The winds took our back three out of it, and we've got a very well, our back five. We've got a very good back five that like to come in and get us out of the danger. Nathan Hill, it was a completely different game for him because they eliminated him with his kick returns. Every kick return Nathan makes 15, 20 metres. The same with Reece, here and AJ is the same. But with the winning the first half with it, he was going dead. In the second half, so it completely took the back three out of the game. But yeah, Reece's defensive effort, was really impressive, and it was hard for us to see because obviously it was the opposite side of the pitch. But I think that kind of set our mentality with Reece's reaction when he did put him in touch. He celebrates like he's just going 80 metre try, and he kind of gets round everyone and he's really riled up. And we play off the back of it and we go down the other end, and a great ball from Coates. He puts AJ in the corner, and we got to remember he's only 17. So that's his first game apart from his 10 minutes against Wigan. That's his first game in men's rugby. He'll only get better. He's a very confident young man. Which was very impressive with him. And, he's got an opinion and he's respected by the boys that he came in. So I think he'll only get better.
Great. And in the second half, you were under the cosh for a lot of that, but defensively, pretty damn solid, really. I mean, in many ways, was that defensive effort at all sort of more pleasing than what you did in attack?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's quite funny with the social media and stuff, and I think the Our League, the commentators really did pick up on it. I've watched it a couple of times, and we are starting to get a little bit of recognition, which we do deserve now. Apart from the try they scored with the exploiters, we lost our numbers a little bit. I wasn't really worried at all. It didn't really faze us, but I think we defended 6, 7 sets back to back at one point, and just you know, the boys were working for it. It didn't faze us whatsoever. You know, we did a little bit of digging on it. You know, big Morgan Evans is a big boy, you know, and scored the week before from 5 yards out. You know, so we did a little bit of digging where if he gets the ball, or if anybody gets the ball 2-3 meters, take him back over the goal line, and kind of eliminate him. So if we take him over the goal line, that's to play the ball on the 10-meter line. That kind of eliminates that threat of Morgan being dangerous from 5 yards out. You know, and we did that 3 or 4 times. It was really smart from them. But again, they can only do that if they were confident in actually doing it. So, and they were confident and backed themselves. So that was, you know, it was really pleasing, especially that second half because it was tough. But we looked confident all the way throughout.
Across the 2 games this season, I mean, you've used a decent amount of players already, and you know, there's nobody who's put on a Bears shirt this year who hasn't done well. I'm guessing, you know, there's going to be a couple of players who come back into contention for this weekend's game. It feels like you've got a few tough decisions to make in terms of who plays. Yeah, we have. You know, we lost Hayden with his thumb. So Hayden's probably be about 46 weeks, which is a shame. You know, because he's always vastly experienced and, you know, and finished anything that's outside of him. We didn't have Matty Wellham last week due to work. He'll come back into contention for this week. But, you know, Jack Dawson, who started in the centre, has had a very, very good pre-season and had, you know, 2 games against Skolars. He was very good, and against Barrow when he came on, he got through some work as well. So he's kind of deserved a start, and went into that centre position and did a very, very good job, you know, defensively, you know, and kind of did what he needed to do. You know, he's probably not a centre; he can play more back row, but you know, he deserved a shirt, so he'll still be putting his hand in the mix with Mike Wellham. Ryan Langton got his first run out at the weekend, and he kind of, you know, you look at his body shape and think, you know, he's not a rugby league player, but he did exactly what we needed him to do at the weekend, which is, you know, give Kieran Sherritt a rest, you know, because Kieran did some big minutes, and he did that. Ryan for the 15-20 metres that was on, did the little things right, give us a little bit of energy, and, you know, and did the hard stuff, which is good, and he gives us that flexibility where he can cover a range of positions. It's our forwards though. We've got, you know, the boys who are playing, they're undroppable at the minute. You know, you've got Peter and Brad who are really setting a stall out. You've got Jed, who again had another good game, and he's kind of finding his confidence of which now he's starting to play back to back and stringing some games together, which he hasn't been able to do for a couple of years. Sam Bowen did his first 80 minutes, what I thought was sensational at the weekend, just the little things. You know, and then off the bench, you know, Josh Dunn, again, that's his only 3rd game of rugby union. He's building into it. Elliot Townsend was good. But then you've got Darius Hamilton, Harry Kaufman, you know, some people missing out. And it's a real shame because they're doing the little things right. Previous years at this point, we're probably looking to make some changes, but you can't drop any of the pack at the minute because they're the ones who are really setting the platform down. So it's tough, you know. We've spoken with Dave already, and we spoke about in the way back where it's tough, and whoever does miss out this week, you know, it's going to be a real shame because obviously Matty Wellham offered so much was against Barrow, and he does get through a hell of a lot of work. You know, so there's a possibility that he could come back into it, but does anybody warrant, you know, dropping out of the squad? So it's something we kind of have looked at, and me and Dave did say where we do want to try and get some consistency with the squad this year, you know, with the team, and try and, if we don't have to make changes, then we're not going to make them. And we're getting that, you know, injuries have kind of swayed us to go that way a little bit. But apart from that, you know, there's no reason to kind of make any changes at the minute. I mean, you must be feeling confident going into this one against Skolars. I know you can't take anything for granted, but, you know, good start to the season, and one of those games that you would have been targeting to win anyway. So what's the mood in the camp going into the Skolars game?
Yes, again, it's very positive. You know, we've shown that when we do play positively, we get a good reaction from the boys, and you know, there's smiles on faces this year, and there's a lot of self-belief running throughout the full squad. You know, and they're kind of knitting really well together, you know, as a group, and they're pushing each other to get to where they want to be. You know, they're acknowledging that people are giving them the respect, and it's, you know, it's they're starting to win that back now. But we're positive going into this week. We just got to keep doing the little things. Skolars are a tough team. Wherever they go, they've got the people across the board that can kind of make things happen. You go a year and a half ago, after 7-8 games, they were top of the league. It's not much different, squad-wise. They've lost a couple, but they're just being a real physical presence, and they did in the friendly as well. So I know they've come to a pickle of injuries, and they've had a real tough start. But it'll be the same as West Wales. Well, they'll kind of be targeting us. So we need to be at the top of our game. But if we play anything like we have done the first two, I'll be very confident going into it.
And lastly, of course, it's not just Skolars who are coming up to the butts on Sunday. You've got the fans coming back in. How good is that going to be to play in front of the fans for the first time since February last year?
Yeah, it's good, and it's kind of watching the build up to Super League tonight, just having the fans around and seeing some of the Super League players just coming out and looking around and realising how different it is and how good it is to be back to normal. And I think that'll be another big kicking point for our boys, to kind of kick on and having the people around. It's not thousands and thousands, but the ones who come down are really vocal and kind of do get behind the boys. And I'm looking forward to the fans to seeing the group we've put together this year. We've got a real hard-working bunch, but a real comical side off it. So it's a good bunch that work hard for each other on and off the field. And I'm looking forward to the fans to kind of getting to see that and showing the hard work the boys have kind of put in, and hopefully seeing it come off on Sunday.
Fantastic. Well, good luck for Sunday. Looking forward to seeing you there with all the rest of the fans. And thanks for your time, and I'll catch you at the weekend.
Cheers, Dave. Thank you.
So huge thanks to Rich for chatting to us. Craig, where do we start on this? I mean, my general opening question is, it was pretty good, wasn't it?
It was pretty good. And do you know what? This is a very good Bears side. They came up against a much improved West Wales side and dominated the game. Not only that, they showed composure when they needed to. They completed their sets time and time again. They got good field position. They didn't panic on their own line. They used the ball well, kicked early at times to get field position. It was just superb. It was a really good Bears performance. And I had a quick look, and because of the cancellation of last season due to COVID and quite a poor end to the 2019 season, it's actually July 2019 since we had a chance to talk about a win. So I'm absolutely over the moon. Not just the win, it was the manner of the win and the way how good the team looked. And it was like they took all the good points from last week against Barrow and brought them into this game. And the really good thing I can say about this Bears side is that there wasn't many errors, but when they did make an error, they got straight back up and they went again. And you can really see it on the pitch, the supportive nature of everyone. When a player makes mistakes, everyone's around them, encouraging them, supporting them. Everyone knew what their roles were. Everyone knew exactly what they were supposed to do at every point of the game. And they were very clever with possession and very clever with the ball. And not only that, they stretched West Wales time and time again and caused them all sorts of problems. This West Wales side as well had some big guys in the middle. Their pack actually, I thought, had a very good game. Caused the Bears' defence quite a number of problems. But a really good example of how confident this Bears team are in defence was the goal line defence. The Bears were actually letting West Wales get over the line so that they had to reset back 10 metres. And they did it, I don't know how many times, 10 times probably in the game. I'd love to know what the set completion percentage as well was. It would be very, very high. And that was always a thorn in every Bears side, was not completing sets and giving teams piggybacks and letting them get back in the game. The other thing to say as well, that when West Wales came out second half and they were absolutely fired up for the first 20 minutes of the second half, I think some Bears teams of old might have crumbled at that point, because West Wales had their tails up. They had the wind behind them. They got a couple of lucky bounces, and it was all them in that stage of the game. And to come away only conceding one try was just fantastic. And then, as you said, showing the composure in the last 10 minutes just to seal the game and make it safe was just brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we talked last week about being in the ground for the Barrow game, and because of it being behind closed doors, we were able to hear just how much talking was going on the pitch, and that really came across to me watching the game on Saturday. There's still a lot of talk, and you just get a real sense of leadership in that Bears team. And like you were just saying there, really well organized as well. That you articulated it perfectly. Everybody knew what was expected of them, and they backed their colleagues when it went well, and they backed them when if it didn't go well as well. So yeah, I think so many more positive things to talk about again for the second week in a row, and it's just really nice to be able to talk about it in the context of the win this time. But it really does feel like this team have got their stuff together, and they are looking out for each other, and we said it last week. It feels like there's a lot more talking than we've seen in previous Bears teams in the time that we've been doing this podcast. So that's a really, really good thing. I mean, I think it'd be worth us. It was a team performance, but I think it is worth us picking out some particular individual highlights. So I'll whiz through my list of names that particularly caught my eye, and then I'll throw back over to you, Craig. I mentioned Chris Cullimore in the match roundup, and he was named man of the match on the Our League stream, and I think rightly so. And we've talked about him in the past, but he really put in a superb performance on Saturday. He wasn't just getting to the tackle and shipping the ball out. He was really the heartbeat of that team. And I think we always hear Alan Robinson talk about tempo, and tempo was a real thing on Saturday, and Cullimore was at the heart of that, wasn't he? Because he was just he was moving the Raiders around. He was bringing the right players in at the right time, and he very rarely put a pass wrong. I mean, those passes for Peter Ryan for his tries on the replay on first instance, they look pretty simple, but they were clever. They were flat passes. They went to the right person. And then like that one to put Liam Wellham in, really well timed. But I was just in awe at the energy of that man on the pitch. I thought he was quite superb.
Yeah, and he made some breaks from dummy half as well, don't forget. So, that was the whole thing, the tempo of the game. Raiders are a big pack who really, they actually put some quite big hits in. But the Bears controlled the tempo. They got them on the back foot constantly, and that really showed. And Cullimore was just excellent, really, really good performance. I think we've seen him in the past in the Bears shirt. We know he's a really good player, but I think he's got players around him now as well that are willing to take responsibility, that have got confidence in their own abilities as well. And it was just brilliant, really, really good performance.
So some other players that particularly caught my eye, and then I'll throw over to you. I thought the two wingers, even though they didn't get a lot of ball, there was a 5 minutes involving each of the wingers that I thought were crucial in the first half and in the overall outcome of the game, really. And I talked about it before we heard from Rich Squires, but Reece Rancy's tackle to save what would have been a certain try was excellent. And we've not seen Reece with ball in hand as much as we'd like to this season, or at least not running with it at full speed. But it's sometimes easy to forget that he is a magnificent defender as well. Everybody thinks back to that try against North Wales from a few years ago, but that tackle was fantastic. And then to go at the other end of the pitch a few minutes later, and for AJ Towers to finish in the corner, and he finished really well as well. You need your wingers to be doing the business at both ends, and I thought both of those guys really contributed on Saturday. And the other one I want to shout out is Sam Bowering. 2 games in a row now, he has really stepped up. He is a beast, and he put in a fantastic shift on Saturday. But anyone you want to shout out?
I would say that it would be unfair of me. Anyone that I do miss out, it's unfair, because I think there was good performances all over the pitch. But I would single out both the halfbacks. Dan Coates, I thought he played well last week, but this week he was just superb, and I think he's going to be an absolutely class player for us. Really good player. He's going to get game time at the Bears, and he looks like the sort of player who's going to get better every week that he plays. But also Dave Scott, what a player he is. Not only is he in the coaching staff, but what a player. So much composure on the ball. He just glides around the pitch. He looks like he knows exactly what's happening next, apart from a few of the late shots on him. But he was superb, and they did try and rough him up. They had a few late hits on him, and he got up and played on. And, as I said, his passing at times was simple but effective all the way through the game. I also need to mention Peter Ryan now. We have been big fans of Peter Ryan ever since he first pulled on a Bears shirt. We know he's a superb player, but what we've been hoping for is that he'll continue to progress at the rate that he has. And actually, this season he looks an even better player than he was before. That's 2 games in, and he's been superb in each match. What he's doing well is he plays the simple stuff really well, and he started to utilise his strength in defence as well. He's putting big hits in all over the field. But for him to get 2 tries, he's not the quickest bloke, but he is strong, really strong. And at that close to the line, no one's going to stop him. I think he's been superb, and he looks like a player with confidence now. He looks like he knows his role and what he's doing and what he brings to the team. And I thought he was brilliant, really, really good.
It's not out of the question that he could be in with a shot of a World Cup squad place at the end of the year if he keeps this up, is it?
Yeah, I really hope so. I really do think he's good enough. I just hope that he gets the chance. I do think a lot of Irish homegrown players don't necessarily always get the chance, but this is a guy that's come over to England, playing in League One, and just looks better and better all the time. Josh Dunn's in there as well. He looks like a player. If he plays well all season, he could be in with a shot as well. So it's looking good in that regard. One other player I think I've really liked the look of over these first 2 games is Jed Charlton as well. He's tough, really tough player, puts in big hits, really, really strong, plays the ball quickly, low centre of gravity. I thought he was really good again. And a special mention for a player who came off the bench as well, who didn't play that many minutes, but when he came on, he was just superb, was Ryan Langton. Thought he was superb. He made yards. He took hit-ups, quite a few hit-ups in that last 10 minutes. The final it was the Nathan Hill try was all his doing, because he made an extra 20 yards off the tackle where he bounced a couple of players off him and give Bears good field position. So thought he was great. And last but not least, Nathan Hill again. What a runner he is with the ball. He doesn't look that big, but he just bounces people off him, and he's got a good sidestep on him as well. And as you said, he's another leader on the pitch, talks to everyone, tells them where they should be. It's, as I said, I feel bad about missing anyone out, because I thought there was good performances all over the pitch. But I'm sure if this team keeps playing the way that they are, we'll be going through a long list of players by the season's end.
Definitely. And I just keep watching back that Nathan Hill try, purely for the moment when the ball bounces up into Nathan's hands and it's clear he's going to score, and everyone around him has just got their fists raised and they're cheering and they're smiling. Like you just get a sense that, I know it's very early in the season, but you get a sense that this team is a team and that they're in it together, which is a sort of a bit of the club motto, but they really seem to be living it this year, and there seems to be a really good spirit. And yeah, I'm excited about where it can go. I think before we wrap this up and get some more post-match reaction from the coaching squad, you mentioned that it was an improved West Wales team, and I think it would be unfair on them for us not to credit them for that. I think, a couple of years ago they were absolutely the whipping boys of the league, and aside from that one game when they beat us a couple of years ago, West Wales was usually a chance for teams to just improve their points difference. And we made advantage of that particularly the home game in 2018, when we recorded our record win, they seemed a lot more organised than I've ever seen them before on the weekend. And you mentioned their pack. They really added some muscle into the middle of the pitch. And yeah, Rangi Chase was hit and miss. Rangi Chase is generally hit and miss, but you saw how easily they did take their tries, and that they came from the magic of Rangi Chase. And there's a lot of talk going around about whether Gavin Henson's actually gonna pull on a shirt and play. Assuming he does come in and he can start getting that field position that perhaps they were lacking on the weekend, and sort of being able to bring a different option in from the boot, they're not going to be a pushover for anyone this year, are they? And I think they might catch a few people out if anyone goes down there and thinks they can take their foot off the gas.
Yeah, that's why I was so pleased with the win. I don't think, I think they're going to they give Rochdale a good, a bit of a scare last week. It was quite late in the game before Rochdale finished them off. And, they weren't completely out of it against the Bears. The Bears were just more decisive, more clinical, made better decisions at the right time and had more composure in attack and defence. But that West Wales pack are difficult to deal with. They got some big guys in there. I mean, Morgan Evans, who I think played for the Bears about 5 years ago, maybe. He looks really good. I mean, he's so strong and he made yards every time he got the ball. I thought their pack played quite well. I think Rangi was hit and miss. He had, to be honest, a little bit of a stinker at times. But one thing that was fairly obvious is that some of their players weren't always on his wavelength. You could see how frustrated he was at times, but that'll come with time. So we played them at a good time, and we had a very good win against them. And I do think that they'll cause one or two teams a bit of trouble this year, without a doubt.
Definitely. Great stuff. Right. Let's get some more post-match reaction now then. So I also managed to catch up with player coach Dave Scott on Monday, and here's what he made of it. Dave, you've had a couple of days to digest Saturday's win and the performance. I'm guessing you're pleased. How pleased are you?
I think the scoreline is certainly very pleasing. And that first half especially, over the moon with the boys, and I couldn't be prouder of their effort. They went out and they delivered exactly what we were asking them to deliver. The second half, I think, was a little bit tough to begin with, that 15-20 minute patch that we had where we didn't really touch the football and West Wales were kind of coming at us wave after wave after wave of attack. But we showed some resilience and some grit and determination to hang in there. And, when we got the ball, we caused them troubles. But I think before we went out in half-time, there was a lot of talk about the wind. It was a very windy day. And I think that maybe got into our heads a little bit. And we were more concerned about the winds and how that was going to play a factor in the game rather than just sticking to the processes and accepting that, something, even though we're going into a headwind here, we're not going to win the field position battle just because of the environmental conditions. So we need to learn from that. But overall, very pleased and very proud of the players with what they dished up at the weekend.
I know this will probably make you feel awkward, but plenty of people I've talked to about the game on Saturday mentioned you in terms of players who had a particularly good game. And I definitely echo that. One thing I did want to ask you, not only did you have a good game, you also took a fair few hits on Saturday, a couple of late ones as well. I mean, were you expecting that? Are you recovered okay? Were they just things that you shake off? Like, how did you find it?
So I think the first one that I got, maybe about 15-20 minutes in, that was the one that really hurt. So I don't know if it was a late shot or if it was one of those where I've just played into the line, and it's a bit of a difficult one for the referee to call. But that one kind of caught my shoulder. So there's a fair bit of swelling and bruising there. But I was working in the garden yesterday, sledgehammering and drilling and sawing and that type of thing. So it can't be too bad. So I should be absolutely fine for next week. But yeah, I got a couple of late hits, and then I think the other one was we were defending a goal line, and I went in, and it was that same shoulder I had to make the tackle, and I went in. It was me and Sam Bowen, and it was absolute agony going in with it. So I had to kind of stay down for a little bit. Fortunately, managed to recover from it and just carry on. So I was playing with a bit of a broken shoulder, but I'll be absolutely fine for next week. It's not a problem at all. Was I expecting it? I don't know. I guess, I've played the game for that long where you just expect to get whacked from time to time, don't you? So maybe it was just one of those games for me.
I think the thing that really stood out from your performance, one of the things anyway, was it really feels like you've very quickly struck up a really good partnership with Dan Coates in the halfbacks. Like, do you feel like that's a solid partnership? And I guess, are you surprised at how fast that has come together? Because, for 2 games in, it looked like you guys have played together for months, if not years. It was that impressive from certainly from my point of view on Saturday.
Yeah, a lot of people have mentioned about the partnership between me and Dan, and I'm surprised about it because of the time that we've had together. Probably a little bit, yeah. I didn't expect us to gel as well as what we have done, and it just seems to be clicking at the moment, which is great. But I think a lot of that is to do with Dan himself and the type of person he is. I've always said it about him since seeing him early days in training. He's what's the expression? An old head and young shoulders. Is that the right expression?
Yeah,
he's got an absolutely fantastic temperament to the game, in the way that he plays the game, and he sticks to the systems and the structures and the plans that we want to play to, and is very much on board and buying into that. And I guess we're very similar in the approach to the game, and maybe that's why we gel so well together. He's a lot younger than what I am, and I'm a lot more experienced, so I guess it's nice to have that kind of contrast in the abs as well. So yeah, it seems to be working really well, flowing really well, and we just seem to be on the same wavelength, and I'm really enjoying playing with him, and I hope that he's enjoying partnering me in the abs as well.
Yeah, there was a moment in Saturday's game. It was Nathan Hill's try when the ball went up into his hands and it was clear he was going to score. And you and I think Liam Wellham and a couple of other people were really close to him, and everyone just started smiling and cheering and pumping the air. You really got a sense of you guys enjoying it. Like, is there a good spirit in the camp at the moment?
Oh, fantastic spirit. I think in previous years gone by, Coventry have been looked at, and let's face it, they've been looked at as the whipping boys. Teams think that, we've got Coventry, it's an easy 2 points this week, or when we play Coventry this year, it's an easy 2 points home and away, we'll get 4 points guaranteed from them. And we've really thrived off that this season, and the team spirit's fantastic. We've got a great group of lads that are very close-knit and want to work hard for each other, to try and achieve something this year, try and achieve the best season that Coventry Bears have ever had. And the team spirit is absolutely fantastic, and that'll go a long way. We're not a team that has superstars or anything like that. We're a team of good players that work hard for each other, and we're all buying into the same systems and structures. And I mean, even the way home on the bus from West Wales, the team spirit again was fantastic. Like, we're really coming together, we're really galvanising together, and I think everyone's just enjoying each other's company, enjoying playing together. And I think that's going to pay dividends going throughout the season.
So it sounds then like it's a really good time to be going into, allowing for that there's no game in this division where you can just turn up and expect to get a result. But we talked pre-season about the West Wales game followed by the Skolars game as being a back-to-back pairing of ones that you would be targeting to win. You must be going into the Skolars game this weekend with even more confidence now.
Absolutely. I think the key is to not be complacent. We can't fall in love with ourselves and think that we've had a great result against West Wales. Spirits are high. We're just going to turn up against Skolars and going to win, because we've proved in pre-season that if we let them into the game, they're going to cause us some problems. They're not a bad side at all. They play some good stuff. So we need to be on our A game. We can't turn up and just expect to win. We have to turn up with the correct attitudes, apply ourselves in the right way, and make sure we bring our A game. Otherwise, we're going to get turned over, like you say. But yeah, looking back to pre-season, we said that we want to win out of the first 3 games. We're looking to pick up at least 2 wins. We didn't achieve that against Barrow, so it's a must-win game against Skolars this weekend. So yeah, it's going to be another tough challenge for us, and we need to make sure that we prepare our best. But looking at it, we probably should have beat Barrow as well. So we're a little bit frustrated by that, but hopefully by winning these 2 games, the performance we've had by Barrow, that'll set us going into June quite nicely against Rochdale, and I think after that we've got North Wales. So we need to make sure that we build that momentum going into those games, because confidence plays a huge factor when you play games back to back like this.
And just lastly, it's not only the scholars who are coming to the Butts on the weekend. You've got the fans coming back in the stadium as well. Your first chance to play in front of Bears fans. I mean, how excited are you for that?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. When I was down at Butts Park a couple of weeks ago against Barrow, I absolutely love the stadium. I actually think it's probably up there as one of the best in the division, and one of my favourite stadiums I've actually ever played at. It's a massive field. It's nice and wide. And the facilities are absolutely fantastic. So I settled in straight away and felt right at home. So I'm sure I'm going to get more of that when the fans come down this weekend. Really looking forward to playing in front of them again. And I just hope that we're going to have a good sized crowd there as well.
Great. Well, yeah, likewise. Dave, thanks as always for your time, and look forward to seeing you with the rest of the crowd at the Butts Park Arena on the weekend.
No problem at all. I'll see you then.
So thanks to Dave for joining us. And as you mentioned earlier, Craig, I mean, he looks like an incredibly shrewd acquisition on and off the pitch. So that's a win in the bag. And that means the Bears can now look ahead to hosting London Skolars this coming Sunday at the Butts Park Arena. Craig, we talked in pre-season about this one being another game that the Bears should be looking to target as a win. And Scholars are coming into this on the back of 2 losses. Well, obviously the Bears have now got a win under their belt and played well in both games. I think, like with last week, this isn't going to be a gimme by any means, but I'm feeling confident. Are you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Scholars had quite a big defeat today. I think they've got quite a few injuries at the moment. They've got quite a few players out, so it depends who turns up on the day for them against the Bears. I think their first 13 is pretty strong. There's a match for anyone, but this year I think the Bears have got a much better squad than we've ever had before, and I think we've got to be confident going into the game after the results this weekend. Bears getting a good win and Scholars having a heavy defeat, but pre-season game was close. Scholars and Bears, it's always close, pretty much always close. It doesn't really matter where both teams are in the league. We always have a close game, so I expect it to be close. I think one thing that's sort of killed us in the past is not having composure at times and letting Scholars back into the game when we were dominating. And then that horrible defeat, when was it, 2019? Where we lost in the last kick of the game when we had the game won for about 60 minutes. That was just horrendous. So I do think that we will be much better this time. I think the pre-season games told us a lot. We dominated for large parts of the game in that period. But as I said, you never know. For them, it's a big game. For both teams, really, it's a chance for either team to continue for Scholars to kickstart the season and to try and finish above the Bears, and for the Bears to continue on this run and get a second win on the bounce. That would just be fantastic if we could do that.
Definitely. So not only is this game winnable, but as I mentioned at the start, it's also going to be the first time the Bears have been able to play in front of home supporters since February last year. Craig and I were lucky enough to attend the Barrow game as part of the media setup, but this is obviously going to be something very different. So with that in mind, I think this is a good time to bring in our final guest for this week's episode. So to mark the return of fans to the Butts Park Arena this weekend, we really wanted to just understand exactly what them being allowed to come back might mean to them and how they found the last year, really. So we asked a trio of supporters, Tim, Tom and Katie. If you've been down to the ground, you will know all of them, I'm sure. And they joined us for a special interview. Okay, well, I think to start off, let's just have you all introduce yourselves. So just quickly tell us who you are and I guess how long you've been following the Bears. Tim, let's start with you.
I'm Tim, and I've been supporting Bears pretty much since the start. So that's 23 years when the Bears were playing at the old Coventry Union Ground in Camden Road. So it's a very long time.
Yeah, been there for the whole journey.
Yeah.
Katie, let's bring you in next.
I have had a season ticket, I think, for 5 years now. Came to a few games 6 years ago, and then with my daughter Nina, who was interested in finding out about what happens at a rugby game, and we've had a season ticket for 5 years now.
Great stuff. And last but not least, Tom, we've chipped away a little bit of your Salford heart over to the Bears, haven't we?
Absolutely. Well, as you know, Dave, I run the social media for the Coventry Bears Supporters Club now. And I've been following the Bears since 2016 when I moved to Coventry for work. But I've been a season ticket holder since 2017. So I can't hold candle to Tim at the moment. I can only try and catch him up.
Great stuff. Well, welcome all to the podcast. It's brilliant to have you on. And we're obviously here to talk about the fact that from this weekend, fans are going to be allowed back to the butts, and we'll get on to that. But before we do, I just wanted to hear your brief thoughts on the season so far. 2 games in, 2 decent performances. Tom, let's bring you in first from a supporters club point of view and from your own point of view. How are you finding 2021 so far?
I think decent's an understatement, Dave. I think we've had 2 really strong performances. The Barrow, we would probably been expected to conceded around 50 and scored probably no more than 10 in previous outings. So to double how much we scored and to concede far less and to really put them to the sword at times was really good. And the game yesterday, of course, was a great result for us. 36-10, doing the R-League score. The problem that West Wales had for us was that we were unrelenting in attack and defence. And even at the point in the first 10 or 15 minutes of the second half, when I think they probably had their best chance of getting back in, we didn't make the mistakes. We held firm, and it was just a fantastic win. I don't think Rangi Chase was expecting that from us.
No. Tim, you mentioned you've been with the Bears pretty much the entire journey. How does the first 2 games of this season match up to some of the other ones you've watched?
Well, it's great. I was saying to Katie earlier that at the start of every season or before every season starts, the squad has always changed, and you always wonder how we're going to compete. Alan Robinson has had an absolutely fantastic record of putting together decent squads, does it every season. But we kind of drifted last season towards the end. And so first 2 games this season have been fantastic because we look like we've got a really serious squad together. We've obviously not seen some players yet, so we've got strength in depth, but we've put in a great performance against Barrow, and we absolutely blew West Wales off the park yesterday. So, yeah, it's looking really good.
Yeah, definitely. And Katie?
Yeah, it's been a super exciting start to the season. I've been watching the new signings and looking at the team taking shape. And I was really, really excited ahead of the Barrow game. And I was just over the moon, really, with the performance in the Barrow game. And then yesterday was fantastic. I just think the level of endeavour and grit and absolutely getting stuck in. And even when there's errors coming straight back, it was just fantastic. A really exciting start to the season. Obviously, when you play a team like Barrow, you know, there's always the potential to concede a massive loss. I was just really massively encouraged by the performance. I thought the team were amazing. And yesterday was just spot on.
Yeah, definitely. So let's start bringing it around to the whole fact that, you know, you've not been able to watch the Bears in person for way more than a year now. I mean, I wanted to get a sense from all of you just how you found that last year and a bit without being able to go and watch the Bears on a Sunday. What's that been like for you? Katie, let's start with you.
I think I really felt it because the season just started to get underway and then it stopped. And I really felt it initially. And then I guess all of us just adjusted to life without sport and lots of other things. And I guess I just kind of let it drift off my radar quite a bit because, you know, there's only so much interest you can take, I guess, when there's not very much happening. But I was really super excited, even though it was a live stream, and I did think the live stream was really great and the commentary was great. I was super excited ahead of the Barrow game, and I was, you know, would have loved to have been at West Wales yesterday, but it does feel right to be at the Bucks Park Arena next week for the first game that we can properly go to in person. So yeah, I'm very much excited to get back to the ground, meet some of the players.
And Tom, like, what's the last year been like for you? Because I'm sort of joked in the start that you're a Salford fan as well. So you have had one of your teams available to watch over the last year, but from a Bears point of view, how have you missed them?
I think, and I'm sure Katie, Tim, and probably anyone else really will agree with me, that it's a bit of a ritual has gone away. Whenever I knew there was a Bears game on a Sunday, I would be excited for it the entire week. And then you have the build up probably the night before, and then you're getting ready in the morning, and it really sort of capped off a week for me before work came back and made things horrible again. I say that slightly in jest. But it has been difficult, and I think even being able to watch Salford last season, obviously with no crowds and to only watch it via Sky and so on, didn't really form much more than a sticking plaster for me. So I'm really glad that a week today, being on the 23rd, we're finally going to be able to be in front of the players are going to be in front of us again, and we can hopefully capitalise on how well we've done.
Yeah, and Tim, how have you found the last year being away from the Bears?
Well, I've spent pretty much the whole of the year watching sport on the television, which is difficult because I've been watching sport played in grounds where I'm normally attending. So it kind of takes the shine off it. And the big stand at Butts Park Arena with Broomfield Park in the background, it's one of my happy places. So it's been frustrating not actually being able to go there. Really can't wait to get back and see my friends, shout for the Bears.
Well, I mean, that feels like a perfect point to bring in the killer question for this whole interview. What is it going to mean to you when you walk through those gates on Sunday for the Skolars game and realise you're finally back at the Butts for a game? Tim, you rounded off the last one so nicely. Let's start with you.
I'll probably be overwhelmed emotionally, have tears in my eyes. Saying hello to Debbie Watson again as we go in, and just seeing that big old space, seeing friends, hopefully getting a beer and chatting on for the Bears. Been really excited to see them this season. As I said, we started really well, so it's going to be really exciting.
And Katie, what's it going to mean for you and your daughter as well if you're bringing her along?
Yeah, she'll be there. Well, we really look forward to it. Obviously, we want to see the team in person. But we've got lots of friends who are part of the Bears crowd, and we look forward to seeing those people. Some of those people we haven't seen at all. While rugby's been off, so really looking forward to catching up. I love to have a really good shout, and I like to go to work with a sore throat on a Monday morning, and I've done lots of that in the past. Just the whole experience. It's a really great ground, and also want to see the pitch, and just looking forward to the whole thing really, and getting to see the new players in the flesh.
Yeah, definitely. And Tom, what's it going to mean to you to have your Sunday ritual back?
Well, you've capped it. You've stolen my answer from me. It's going to be probably one of the first feelings of not having to think about the new normal, as politicians have crowed about for quite some time, and to actually be back in with hopefully with my partner Eleanor, who hopefully be there as well, and just to do something that I would have 15 months ago just have taken for granted completely, as just being something that I could do and not have to think about. And I think like Tim, it is going to be quite emotional. I'll try and keep the tears back, but hopefully with tears of joy after the 80 minutes are done.
So I was going to ask you actually next, like what the one thing you've missed more than anything else over the last year would be, and I should clarify that's to do with going to the Bears, because obviously there are probably other bigger things you've missed as well, and the Bears as a general answer, it could well be one. But thinking particularly about that ritual, that match day experience, if you had to pin it down to one thing that you really have missed and you really can't wait to get back, what would that be? Tom, we'll start with you.
I think it's the interaction between the players and the fans, because I think especially with a club like ours, there's a really good community feel there, and that's something that, of course, the last season was suspended, But if it hadn't been, and things had gone the sort of the same way as the Super League, you just wouldn't have the same enjoyment coming out of watching them. So I think being there and to know that they will know that we're there, and like Katie, we'll probably all have sore throats by the end of it. I think that's the big thing.
Yeah. And Tim?
Agree with Tom, but also away games. Pitching up in, say, somewhere in Cumbria at midday on a Sunday, and with all beautiful scenery around you, watching the Bears play, and then getting up on Monday morning, going to work and thinking, bloody hell, I was in Cumbria yesterday afternoon. It's day trips like that I think I missed the most.
And Katie?
Me, it's the people, because Bears is a real community club, and so you get to know lots of people and be around people, other people who are interested in and passionate about rugby league. And also, like Tim said about the away games, and there are people, some families of players and fans that you meet over and over again at different places, and it's just part of being part of a community really that's interested in rugby league and cares about rugby league. So I'm really miss the people.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for coming on the podcast. It's been great to hear from you. I'm really looking forward to actually seeing you in real life at the weekend. Before I let you go, I wanted to throw out a slightly different question. So, you'll know from our pre-season episodes in the podcast that we've been asking the coaching team and Alan to sort of fill us in on their messages for supporters going into the new season, and a bit through the end of last season as well. But I kind of wanted to flip that around for this weekend. So I was really keen for all three of you. What would your message be from supporters to the players and to the coaches ahead of you getting back into the ground this Sunday? Katie, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think I just want to say, you've got a great team together, a really strong squad. I know a lot of work has gone into it behind the scenes and lots of work on fitness. I just want to say, get stuck in. You've got everything it takes to really get stuck in this season and make a real impact on the league. So, we're all behind you as fans. Just get stuck in and enjoy the play and work hard. And that's exactly what I've seen the 2 games that we've had already. Hard work. So keep at it, really.
Great. Tom?
In short, keep up the good work. The first 2 games have shown that we can be a real force in League One. There are plenty of clubs that we go to and that come to us and think that we're going to be an easy rollover and an easy 2 points. And I think the real incentive is that with games like the Barrow results show that won't be the case if we play to our best ability. And finally, more tries for Peter Ryan. He needs to be our top try scorer this season. He doubled his try tally. He's hit the historic try tally from 2 to 4 in one game. So keep it up, Peter.
Great stuff. And lastly, Tim.
Yeah, come on. Rolling it together. We'll get behind you if you keep putting in performances like that. And this is a great opportunity to prove to the wider rugby league world what a powerhouse rugby league can be in Coventry. It's up to you guys to do that. And, we think you're capable of it.
Wow, what a great way to end it on. Guys, thank you all so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And see you on Sunday.
Yeah, cheers, Dave.
Thanks, see you Sunday.
Yeah.
So massive thanks to those 3. And I can't wait to see them all in real life on Sunday, even if we are still socially distanced at some point for the time being. But it's going to be great to see them and everybody else back at the stadium. Craig, I mean, we don't need to say much more because those guys covered it, but it's going to be great to have a crowd back, isn't it?
It's going to be fantastic. I think it'll lift the players. They're going to love it. The players have sacrificed so much to throughout this last year. Training, stopping training, testing, having to, amend the training regimes. It's been tough on everyone, and the players have really shown a lot of togetherness and spirit. And I think having the fans there as well will be the icing on the cake for them. And, if they can get a win in front of the fans, I'm sure they'll be absolutely delighted. One thing from me is that you go to games regularly and you see people at the games, don't necessarily see them outside of the games, might have some social media chat or whatever. So it's been over a year since I've seen some of these guys, so it's going to be fantastic to say hello to people, get that match atmosphere back again. hearing all the usual shouts and chants and everything else. It's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, definitely is. Okay, that is going to do us for this week. So thanks as ever for listening, and do come back next week where we'll bring you all the news from the Skolars game and what will hopefully be another Bears victory, and obviously a victory to welcome back fans in style. But yeah, we'll be here next week as ever. Craig, thanks as always to you for joining, and bring on next Sunday.